Hi there, Sandy here. Welcome to another Friday Findings video at keepsakecrafts.net. Today I'm going to talk to you about a really cool and interesting finding that you may not have heard of or seen before, and that is French wire. Honestly, I have no idea why it's called French wire, but here are two examples of the stuff. And all it is a very fine coil of wire. It's kind of slinky. Well, it actually is. It's sort of like a very small slinky because it's just a coil of wire. So here's one in gold, and this is a larger size. And here's one in silver. That's a smaller, finer size. And what do you do with this stuff? Well, let me give you an example. I recently made this bracelet, and you can see right here at the ends, this bracelet is strung on bead stringing wire, and instead of using a wire protector here, I use the French wire. You just cut a little piece of the coil and then put that on, and I will show you how to do that. So this is what we often use. I mean, you don't have to use a wire protector. You can just have a piece of wire going around your clasp, and that's fine, but a wire protector definitely helps keep things from abrading. So these are wire protectors, and I've shown you how to use those before, and I've done a Friday Findings video on those. But this stuff is just even more versatile. I think it has a more elegant look, and there's a lot of other things you can do with it. One reason, though, French wire might be better than the wire protectors is if your clasp has a particularly thick loop. This one isn't too bad, but sometimes these rings on these clasps can be very big, especially if you buy something from an artisan, and it may be difficult to get the wire protector around it. It may not fit or may just barely fit. I have run into that in the past. So what's nice is you can just cut the perfect length of French wire that you need. Another place you might want to use French wire is if you're bead weaving with thread. Now, I have used wire protectors before with thread, but again, I think the French wire is just a nicer look, and I will show you how to do that. Another cool thing that you can do with the French wire is just cut little tiny pieces and use them as spacers. I mean, we often see the coiled jewelry, but just having little pieces of the coil could be a very elegant look. This would look great like on a memory wire bracelet because you could just have this long, pretty coil as a spacer. Another thing, let's see, this silver one that I have is 0.9 millimeters. That is the inside diameter. And what that means is that it will fit over any kind of thread or cord up to 0.9 of a millimeter thick. It's pretty small. This one is much bigger. This is 1.8 millimeters, so it will fit over a cord that's a millimeter thick. Here I have a piece of 1 millimeter leather cord, and you can see it goes right over that. So kind of fun to consider the possibilities of combining your French wire with something like leather cord, cotton cord. So if you're stringing something and you're concerned about your endings not being secure, if you're concerned about it fraying, it'll fit right over that if you buy the larger size. There's a few different sizes, and it comes in silver, silver plated, gold plated. Here's another one, a cotton cord. So you just consider the possibilities of having this in between knots with beads in between. I hope that your mind is kind of going with all the different ways you can possibly use this stuff, besides what it was made for, which is protecting the ends of your stringing material. So let me just show you how to use it. So on a piece of thread that I have here, I have strung the first bead in the design, and then about a 1/2 inch piece of French wire. The next thing to do would be to add 1/2 of your clasp, and then you're just going to string that thread back through the bead. And this is really the same whether you're doing bead stringing with wire or bead stringing with thread. If you're stringing with wire, you would put on your crimp instead of the bead, and then your French wire, your clasp, and the wire would go back through the crimp, and you would crimp it and add a crimp cover. Other than the difference between the crimp and the bead, it's really the same. Now you do want to watch. Sometimes this stuff is so fine it will slip through your bead holes. I don't yeah, see that bead will go right over it, which is another fun possibility if you think about stringing and having beads floating over lengths of this stuff. So I'll just show you what you do. I'm going to use my thumbnail here to kind of stop it. Find the end of the thread and just pull. And see, it just makes a loop. So when you cut your thread, you want to cut it about 10 inches more than you need for the project so that you have plenty to tie. And then I'm just going to tie these thread ends into a knot. And then all you would do is add a dab of glue to the knot, let it dry, trim off the excess thread, and then proceed with your project. So it's pretty similar to using bead stringing wire, except now you've used thread and you don't have to worry about your clasp or your findings at the end fraying through your thread. So a few other cool things that you can do with French wire. You could make fun, great wiggly dangles just by cutting lengths, clamping the ends in something like a cord end, and then you have these great fun wiggly dangles. You do want to be careful in handling this because you can pull it out. Just like this piece that I pulled out to demonstrate to you, or you can kink it like I did this with this one. But I'm not going to throw any of these pieces away. It is a little bit pricey. It works out to about 28 to 30 cents an inch. So if you cut half-inch pieces, that means each one costs about 14 cents per wire protector, which is a lot more than wire protectors cost. But I think it's just cool and it looks really nice. But you can see it's like the slinky. Remember with your slinkies, you could pull them out of shape. But I picture using these in polymer clay projects. I've also seen these wires pulled out and embedded in epoxy clay projects. So don't throw away any of your pieces if they don't work out. Save them and use them for other things, and find all sorts of creative uses for French wire. And by the way, if you're looking for it, you may find it also called gimp wire or bullion. And I'm going to keep mine stored in these nice little packages so that I don't mess it up, because it really would be easy to distort and pull out of shape. So if you're interested in any of these supplies, make sure you click on the blog post link in the description box, because at my blog post I will have a supply list with tools and materials and links to the products that I showed in this video. Be sure to subscribe if you haven't already. Take a look at my Patreon page because you can get great rewards for helping support these tutorials with $1 a month or whatever you can afford. Happy creating. Bye-bye.